Yo, what's up, Schizo Jits here? No UFC this weekend. I'm feeding just like everybody else. But thank God, thank Uncle Dana, next weekend is a banger of a card. They had a couple last minute replacement. Bobby Green was set to fight. Dan Hooker, Hooker injured or broke his same arm that he broke against Jalen Turner, and now he's out of the fight. And now, ironically, Jalen Turner is in the fight. So yeah, that main card does actually look pretty good, pretty stacked. We got Pooney Soriano, who's basically everybody knows is a knockout artist. He's a killer. We got him going against Dustin Stolfus, 14-5 to open it up. That should be a banger. Like I said, Pooney's never in a boring fight. He comes to throw bombs, and he's coming to take your head off. So he's got that Hawaiian spirit, that Hawaiian warrior fight. He's just that crazy fighter who likes to just stand and bang. So that should be an interesting matchup. At welterweight, we're gonna have Sean Brady. He hasn't fought for a while. 15-1, Sean Brady, against the return of Calvin Gastelum at welterweight. There's at 170. So and this is right after Thanksgiving. So I don't know, man, what Calvin, maybe he's doing the Dana White diet, the fast 3.5, 4 day fast. I don't know how he's going to get down to 170. Cut out the tacos. I mean, I don't know what gives, but hey, I'm anxious to see Calvin Gastelum. He's one of those in-betweeners where I feel like he could fight at 175, like that at a catch. Like if they had weights at every 10 pounds, like box, or like they could 155, 165, 175. I think he could definitely be like one of those 175 guys because he's a little too short or whatever for middleweight, a little undersized for middleweight because they're all just giants and that, cutting down from 220, 210. And then he's a little too thick for welterweight. So we'll see, though. We'll see how he looks, how the cardio holds up. I'm anxious to see it because I always thought he would thrive if he just got in shape like that. Like I said, if there was a 175-pound division, he's definitely one of those guys that would be in there. Maybe Kamzat's another one. You know what I mean? There's guys that are in between right there that could, do that. Like 65 would be a great division. I talked about this before. You could have Kobe, probably thriving at something like that because he's a little small for 170. And there's a lot of guys like that, like, even from the history, like there's a UFC history. There's definitely guys who would thrive. They're the in-betweeners because you got a big jump from 155 to 170, from lightweight to welterweight, and then the middleweights to 185. So that's 15 pounds. And that's a lot, you know what I mean? So, like, the little 10-pound increments, if you cut those divisions in half, as far as the weight, I mean, there'd be a lot of guys who could actually thrive in those divisions. I think Calvin's one of those guys, but we'll see, though. Sean Brady, he's got great wrestling. He had a loss, so he had a setback. But, both these guys about 5'8", same rate, same reach, basically. Calvin Gastelum a year older at 32, basically a half-inch reach disadvantage. A ton of fight experience in middleweight and welterweight. So it's going to be a great matchup. And the third fight on the main card, this is going to be a banger. There's no way. Rob Font against Davison Figueiredo. That's going to be crazy. You know what I mean? That's going to be an insane fight. Rob Font 20-7. Figueiredo 21-3-1, with most of those coming against, like his Brandon Moreno. Finally he's getting away from Brandon Moreno and he's going to be able to have a new fight. And this is going to be a great fight right here. I mean, Rob Font actually has a 3.5-inch reach advantage, 71.5 to 68, a 3-inch height advantage. He's 5'7". Davison's 5'4". They're both around the same age. Font 36, Davison 35. I would say Font's more of a polished type of boxer with the hands. He's got quick hands. He's going to be throwing a lot of combos in there. Davison's more of a sniper. He's going to come in, more calculated, almost like I said, he was always like a flyweight or there's actually a bantamweight, like Anderson Silva, just a sniper. He's looking for that one shot, just everything all his attacks are just pinpoint accurate, and, I'm saying like devastating, I'm saying like a lot of power, explosive movements, has heavy hands. He's a strong guy. So we'll see how he does at bantamweight because he always had a tough weight cut at 125. So going against Ron Font, that's a huge test. Font's, he's a contender. He's a beast. Like I said, quick hands, great combos. He's well-rounded everywhere and a cardio machine. This is going to be a 3-rounder, which just means these guys aren't going to be able to empty the gas tanks in 3 rounds and just go for it for all 3 rounds, balls to the walls. Like, it's not going to be cardio is not going to be an issue with either one of these guys, especially in 3 rounds. I kind of felt like Davison might have had to pace himself for the 5 rounds fights against, like, championship fights that he had basically 4 straight against, Brandon Moreno. So that means that he's going to have to, on this fight, he don't have to worry about that as much. You don't have to conserve energy. I don't think either one of these guys are going to want to wrestle too much. It's going to be a stand-up war. You're going to have the sniper against kind of like a more of a workhorse in Rob Font. So that brings us to the co-main, which is the fight I talked about. Jalen Turner stepping in on short notice against Bobby King Green. We got the Tarantula against the King, and this fight's awesome. Both guys are from IE, Inland Empire versus Inland Empire. We got San Bernardino natives right here. So I mean, this is going to be an amazing fight as well. The matchup, I wish it would have been under better circumstances, like a full camp. Bobby Green he was training for Dan Hooker till he got injured. So he re-injured the same arm that he broke against Jalen. So I mean, it's an interesting matchup. I think Bobby. I like Jalen Turner. I met him, talked to him for a few minutes. He was a great guy. Yeah, bright future, all that. Really good head on his shoulders. I don't think he was training too much. He wasn't training for a fight. I'm sure he was training. You got Bobby Green, who's just an OG. For almost 50, damn near 50 fights, professional fights, seen it all, done it all. And he has that experience and kind of unorthodox striking style that could definitely give the Tarantula problems. But then again, Tarantula is going to be huge. You got 77-inch reach for Jalen, for 71 against Bobby Green, 6'2" against 5'8", 28 years old. Jalen Turner against Bobby Green, who's 37. But like I said, he hasn't shown anything. He's only getting better, it seems like, Bobby Green. Just came off beating Tony Ferguson, put him to sleep, which no one ever does that, stops him that way. And that's going to be an amazing fight. I'm leaning Green, but, both these guys are from the IE. I'm from the IE Redlands, so it's kind of like it's hard for me to pick either one of these guys. I just want to see a great fight. Hopefully nobody gets hurt, all that. If we get, a draw, whatever. I don't know. I just want to see an exciting fight. I'm leaning Bobby Green just because he had a camp and he's, has so much experience. But then you got Jalen Turner, who's fresh, hasn't fought for a while since the Dan Hooker fight, and he has that long reach advantage and height. So that could give Bobby problems as well. And plus, just being on the ground, like I said, Bobby's seasoned. He's good everywhere. Jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing. Wherever the fight goes, Bobby's right there, and he's a killer, and he goes for the win. It's just Jalen on the ground might have an advantage, maybe just because of those long limbs. He's the Tarantula. That's a perfect nickname. I seen him on, I think it was Rampage Jackson. He was talking about, why he got that name, because he actually has pet tarantulas. That's something I did not know. I thought it was just because of his long limbs, and he's like a friggin' spider out there and just, huge and tall and lanky, especially for fighting at 155, to be 6'2", with that type of reach, 77, he could literally be like a John Jones of that division. If he chooses to adapt to that style, adopt that style like John Jones. That's crazy. But, yeah, so that's going to be a banger. I'm not even making picks here. I'm just kind of talking about the card, so much. But that brings us to the main event. Beneil Dariush, the return of Beneil after losing to Charles Oliveira, the Bronx, in his last fight against Arman Sarukian, who is 20-3, Sarukian is, and 22-5-1 for Dariush. Dariush was on a huge 8-fight win streak before he lost to Charles. Sarukian, he's a beast in his own right, great wrestler. He had a tough fight with our champ, at 55. When he fought Islam Makhachev, they had a really close fight wrestling. He actually was able to take down Islam, and stuff like that. But, Islam was just a little bit more seasoned with the striking and did a little more to get that victory. But Sarukian, 27, Dariush, 34, getting up there a little bit. They're both pretty much the same. 5'6", Sarukian, so he's a little bit shorter guy. He's a little stockier, just muscular, thick guy, wrestler type body against 5'8". Beneil, who's more of a BJJ guy, has decent wrestling. Pretty good wrestling. I don't want to say decent. Good. He's rounded. He's good on the ground, super high level with his jiu-jitsu, and his striking is Rafael Cordero. It's really crisp. His stand-up, his kicks, his everything. And I think he does. This is a good test to see how he would have done against Islam, because that's what the fight I kind of wanted to see. But, Oliveira was able to kind of run through him, make it look easy when they fought, which doesn't mean it's not MMA math. I do want to see how he would do against a wrestler, because he had a great fight against Gamrot. So this is another test that kind of could get him ready. If he could get back a couple wins, it'll be a good experience to fight Islam in the future. 72-inch reach for Beneil, 72 and a half for Arman, so not a big deal. But overall, I'm just super excited for these fights. I mean, for this card, we didn't have any fights this weekend, so I mean, I'm fiending like everybody else. And also, you guys got Clay Guida against Joaquim Silva. So you already know Clay Guida's game plan. He's going to be bouncing around and looking for the takedown, and the return of Misha Tate, Cupcake Tate against Julia Avila. So that's another interesting matchup to watch. Jakar Close, Joe Selecki. That could be a banger right there. I mean, it's a pretty good card actually. It's a good return card, for having like a week off and no fights. So for all of us that are like pookied out right now, asking like, where are the UFC fights? Well, we got a pretty nice card coming up this weekend. A nice little banger of a card, and we can't wait. Let me know who you guys think. Like, subscribe. Let me know who you guys think wins the main event, the three main fights. We got Davison, Rothfont. That's a great fight. I'm not going to talk about the breakdown on there, but let me know who you guys think who takes that one. And also Bobby Green and the Tarantula, Jalen Turner. It's another banger. Very interesting fight. Jalen, kind of nothing to lose, but short notice. So, I mean, Dana always rewards those that come. The UFC rewards people who step up and take those short notice fights. So that's great. And the main event, Beneil against Arman Sarukian. So, I'm leaning, I don't know on that one. That one's a tough one right there. I'd have to think about that one a little bit more. Maybe Arman is a little, well, I don't know. Beneil, he's going to want to get that back after he lost to Oliveira. Well, like I said, it was a good matchup to see how he does against wrestlers, a pure just kind of wrestling type game plan. And I think he'll do well on this one. A little better striking for sure, a lot better at striking, So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Like, subscribe.